Good evening and welcome back to your generic news channel. I'm Arv Patel, bringing you an in-depth look into a pivotal moment in the Cold War, the communist takeover of Czechoslovakia in 1948. Tonight we will look into the events leading up to the takeover, its immediate aftermath, and the lasting impacts. 76 years after its independence, Czechoslovakia found itself under control of the Communist Party. The nation's once democratic government was ousted in a coup d'etat by the Soviet Union, which was being aided by all other countries in the Warsaw Pact except for Romania. Just as some brief context, before the communist takeover of Czechoslovakia, there was a period of liberalization and mass protest in the Czechoslovak Socialist Republic. It was when the reformist Alexander Dubček made a strong attempt to grant additional rights to the citizens of Czechoslovakia in an act of partial decentralization of the economy and democratization. February 25th, 1948, the Communist Party, led by Klement Gottwald, seized power in a swift and decisive move. This marked the end of Czechoslovakian government, which was a coalition of democratic and leftist parties, which was now replaced by a regime that was firmly aligned with the Soviet Union. The fallout from this takeover was immediate. President Edvard Beneš, a symbol of Czechoslovakia's independence, resigned under immense pressure. In his place, Klement Gottwald assumed the presidency, solidifying communist control. The Communist Party wasted no time in asserting its authority, implementing a series of measures to consolidate power. This included the nationalization of key industries and suppression of opposition voices. Many democratic politicians were arrested or forced into exile. Joining us now is Dr. Araf Patel, a historian specializing in Eastern European history. Dr. Patel, what can you tell us about the events leading up to the communist takeover?
Thank you. So the roots of this coup can be traced back to around the end of World War II. Czechoslovakia was a country that was deeply scarred by that war and was divided east and west. We're still facing economic challenges and political instability. And the Communist Party, with its close ties to the Soviet Union, saw this as an opportunity to exploit the situation and gain control.
The repercussions of this event were not only felt in Czechoslovakia, but across the world, specifically in the U.S. The U.S. was already trying to stop communist spread of ideas, and really this did not help at all. The communist rule of Czechoslovakia changed society there drastically. Originally, the people were allowed to enjoy freedoms of expression and assembly, but now they were under a suppressive regime that didn't let them have a voice. The Communist Party's rule was essentially characterized by censorship and suppression of the opposition. The newspapers were shut down, books were banned, and artists were censored. The secret police, known as the STB, operated with impunity, and they instilled fear in the entire population. There was also a profound economic consequence for Czechoslovakia. The nationalization of industries and the collectivization of agriculture essentially disrupted the economy, and that led to a lot of shortages and inefficiencies in almost every industry. Those food shortages continued to become a common sight as the government struggled to maintain the centralized economy. Many citizens had to face rationing, and long lines had to be made for basic necessities. After over 40 years of communist rule, Czechoslovakia finally had their independence due to the Velvet Revolution. The Velvet Revolution started with one man, Jan Obletal, a student of the medical faculty of Charles University in Prague, who was shot at a Czechoslovak Independence Day rally on 28 October 1939. He was severely injured here, and he proceeded to die 2 weeks later. It was soon figured out he was murdered by Nazi occupation forces, and this turned into a severe denunciation of Nazis, but this later morphed into an anti-communist protest and eventually turned into a movement. This started the Velvet Revolution, which was 6 weeks between November 17th and December 29th, 1989. This was a bloodless overthrow of the Czech Slovak communist regime. This period was later termed the Velvet Revolution due to the relative ease of the transition. But why did the Communist Party leave without a fight? Because if they allowed Czechoslovakian reforms to go too far, then they were afraid that other satellite states in Eastern Europe would follow. So they figured that they would allow Czechoslovakia to have their independence as long as they were able to keep control of the rest of their satellite states.